Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is B, and I work for the firm of Jones & Jones Legal Services, and we are specialists in employment law. Today, I'd like to give a talk on the duties of loyalty, confidentiality, and privacy owed by employees, and the measures available to protect the company's intellectual property against misuse or theft, both during and after employment. Ireland's greatest assets are its intellectual property, especially its proprietary software, but includes other business documents. While many of these assets were created by the employees, they are also the biggest threat to breaches of confidentiality. First, we will examine the law with regards to duties of employment, which includes obedience, cooperation, proper conduct, but no less important, loyalty and confidentiality. And I will focus on the last, together with measures to protect this confidential information. We often hear of cyber attacks on various organizations, so the risk of hacking is very real. But statistics show that rarely are breaches due to malicious hacking or insider activity. The vast majority are unintentional due to carelessness or not recognizing that the information is confidential. What then is confidential information? It is that which possesses a quality of confidence that is distinctly identifiable, imparted or obtained in circumstances which make it obvious that it is confidential, and where unauthorized use could cause detriment to the company. The objective test is based on the knowledge that a reasonable person should be able to recognize the information is confidential. It should be noted that the law is applied to current employees, do not cover independent contractors. Firstly, employees, especially senior ones, owe fiduciary duties to the company not to harm or profit without consent. For example, employees cannot be running or working for a rival business while still employed. A statutory presumption arises from the Copyright Act and Designs Act awards the rights to any work created during the course of employment to the employer subject to a contrary intention between the parties. Similarly, employers can apply for patent rights to any inventions of their employees. To be noted are a couple of moral rights found in Part 9 of the Copyright Act, that employees who create the product have a right of attribution and also a right of integrity to object to derogatory treatment of their work. While there exists more control over current employees, what can one do to restrain former ones? One way is through a breach of contract. An express or implied term of fidelity exists to restrain former employees from revealing or making use of confidential or proprietary information. Furthermore, the equitable doctrine of breach of confidence exists to oblige ex-employees not to disclose confidential information without consent. The employment contract may also contain further clauses to restrain competition, which can be enforced if not too broad in scope and preserves a legitimate interest. In pursuing a claim to a breach of confidence, it must first be shown that the information was sufficiently secret. Measures exist to prevent circulation of the information and is not part of general skills and knowledge acquired in the course of employment. Various remedies are available, such as injunctions, and the Springboard Doctrine exists to restrain the use of stolen information to prevent unfair head start. Delivery Up can apply to any proprietary software acquired or created by the employee. Some other remedies include equitable damages and compensation, as well as an account of profits and enforcement of a restraint of trade, as agreed by the employment contract. The employer also owes obligations to the employees with regards to preserving their personal information, whether obtained through voluntary disclosure or surreptitiously acquired. With regards to workplace surveillance, the employer has to be careful not to be too intrusive, and this area is governed by state laws. A breach of privacy can result in a complaint to the Privacy Commissioner. To this end, new employees should be made to sign contracts with confidentiality clauses. Important contractual terms must cover work made for hire, and product creation should be included in their job descriptions. What constitutes confidential information should be properly defined, and specific non-disclosure agreements are recommended. Post-employment restrictions should be clearly spelled out, and similar contracts should be signed with independent contractors. What can be done to preserve confidential information? Confidentiality training should be a key component of employee orientation and integrated into the employee handbook, which can be supplemented through online modules. Employees need to be taught how to handle and dispose of sensitive material and made aware of privacy laws and legal repercussions of careless behavior. In particular, ethical guidelines need to be developed for social media usage, and also a mobile phone policy should cover permitted and prohibited uses of such communication devices. In the event of a breach, a response plan should be put in place to locate the source, assess and mitigate the damage, recover the information, and prevent a recurrence. Finally, an employee exit procedure needs to include an exit interview during which all company devices and prior work are returned and computer access is disabled. The employee is reminded of his or her ongoing obligations regarding the confidential information obtained during employment. What other measures can we put in place? Firstly, all confidential information must be properly labeled. Information flows need to be studied and access restricted. Firewalls, encryption, and passwords need to be maintained and kept up to date. All information should be securely stored and unwanted copies destroyed. Employees should be warned not to discuss confidential material in public, and all measures need to be enforced and monitored. The danger of the leak of confidential information, especially in the software business, is very real. Our firm specializes in this area of employment law and can advise and draft employment contracts and non-disclosure agreements in order to minimize leaks and ensure legal avenues exist to recover or restrain use of confidential material. We can also help design robust workplace policies regarding preservation of confidential information and greatly help to reduce the risk of this happening. Thank you for listening.